Transition. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. All right. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Good. Excellent. How is everyone doing? What is going on? What is going on? Everyone. What am I doing with my hair? I don't know. We're doing it. We're doing that. Okay. All right. Headphones engaged for optimum Christmas music listening. My headphone jack is like kind of messed up, I think. Or maybe, I don't know if it's my headphones or if it's the headphone jack, but like, sometimes it's very difficult to hear things, so I'm trying to adjust it. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. All right. How's everyone doing? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. All right. I think I've got everything. I think you can see everything. Yes, there we go. Let me see. All right. Alrighty, so I don't really have like a theme. Do I ever have a theme for any of these live streams? No, I don't. But I thought it might be fun to talk about like obviously advice and like holiday seasonal sort of things that are going on. I spent like, I wasn't really intending for this to be my day today, but I did spend like 5 hours like looking at Christmas presents for people, and I think I have something for almost everybody except for my guy friends, and I never know what to get them. They're like, all of them have, well, most of them have hobbies, but I'm still like, sometimes when your friends have hobbies, they don't always want things related to that hobby, or they have way too much stuff related to that hobby already, and they're like, look, I don't need any more whatever goes along with whatever hobby they're doing. Like, actually get me literally anything but that, because I'm trying to downsize my collection or whatever. So I have a couple of fallback things, but I normally have my shopping done at the very beginning of the month, or like around Black Friday, but like this year I just like didn't have the energy for it. So I kind of just waited. Like, I didn't really feel like, even though I had this whole setup and I spent like a solid like day and a half really like kind of making this whole Christmassy setup for live streams, like I wasn't really in the Christmassy mood yet, like the holiday seasonal shopping mood yet, and now I am by necessity, just because I need to get stuff done before it'll be too late to send things out to people. So true, I can't ever figure out gifts for my guy friends. I always either have to ask their girlfriends, like, hey, what do they need? Because, like usually the girlfriends are kind of, like, hooked up. They're like, okay, look, the man hasn't had a new shirt in 5 years. Please get him new clothing. They might never shop for himself. That is, like, 90% of it. Like, I swear, every year, at least once, like, one of my guy friends' girlfriends will be like, hey, he hasn't had new socks in 5 years. Can we please all buy him socks? Or shirts or something. Like, I hate stereotypes, but at the same time there is something to be said for like, what do you mean I can't wear this anymore? I've had it since high school and it has 3 holes in it. It's still fine. And it's like, you're an adult, you work for a Fortune 500 company, please buy yourself new clothing. Something that doesn't have holes in it, please. Is that a moonshine jar? You guys are so weird tonight. No, this is a canning jar. What is wrong with you people? Jesus Christ. Have you decorated a tree this year? We decided against it because our cat, you're eating it. Do cats... I don't really know cats that well, but I could understand like cats like batting at like Christmas ornaments or like climbing up trees, but eating a tree, I've not heard that one before. We do actually have a tree this year. I decorated it, gosh, was that last weekend? Must have been. I decorated it last weekend because we got it that weekend. And I used to have, actually, I was thinking of maybe setting it up in the corner back there, but I don't have an outlet for lights, really. I feel like I could probably make something work. I just don't really have ornaments to go on it because the other ornaments went on the other tree. But I do have like a little, what is it, 5 foot maybe tree that I used to have, that I've had before. And like photos and things you guys have probably seen, and it's the tree that we have decorated for live streams in the past. This tree that we got for this year was in the living room, so I couldn't like film anything with it. I just did it. I didn't make it a big hullabaloo. So sorry if you were looking forward to that. But we have many previous live streams where I've decorated that tree, so you can check those out from years past. But we got a bigger tree. And the smaller tree I may put up in the back. And maybe I'll just put lights on it. Maybe I'll just have it be lights. Maybe I won't put ornaments on it. It feels weird to not put ornaments on it. But like, I'm not gonna go out and buy ornaments for just a tree for like the next, what, like week and a half? That doesn't make sense. Ugh, it's getting so close to Christmas. What's going on? Yep, I've got my brother's socks and shirts for Christmas before. They like it because it means they don't have to go shopping. Exactly. The trouble is, like, sometimes sizing can be difficult. I feel like all of my guy friends are either a medium or like, what is it extra long tall? What is it for like the like guys that are over like 6'2" or whatever, like just tall guys? And like trying to find stuff for that could be hard, because that's like why they don't shop for themselves, is they're like, oh, like the armholes are always too tight, or it's not long enough, or the neck is too small, or things like that, right? You know, so it can be kind of difficult. Ah, yes, long and tall. Actually, like what? Why is that the naming convention for it? Like, it seems like a weird way to categorize people. Are you streaming on Twitch as well? Yes, I am. Actually, if you go to the description box, if you're on YouTube, you will see I am also streaming on Twitch, which is very exciting. We did that last week and it was really fun. We had a good time. So, now that we've been streaming for just a little bit, let me go over the rules and guidelines, because it does say 18 plus only. Read the rules. So if you're on Twitch, if you go to the About section, it'll be in there. If you're on YouTube, open the description box. The rules will be in there. If you ask me about anything in this region, I'm not going to address it, so don't ask me. I will just block you, honestly. Like, I don't care. I will literally just block you. Do not ask me about this. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm probably never going to talk about it. So just give up any hope, because bullying me and asking about it is not going to serve you well. So just don't. That's the only thing that's different from like the normal rules. So just keep that in mind. I don't really want to talk about that. I never have. Like, anytime anybody's ever asked me about any collars I've worn, I just don't. Because it's nobody's beeswax, and it's never been anybody's beeswax. So just don't go there. But the other rules, FAQ, things like that, because this is kind of like a more Christmassy, like casual stream, I don't think we're really going to get into a lot of like intense conversation, but like no religion, no politics, be nice to each other, please, no fucking conspiracy theory stuff, anti-vax stuff, anything like that. Please leave it alone. Oh, thank you for the follow, actually, Waffles. Welcome, welcome. But generally, feel free to ask about whatever you want. If it's too personal, if I don't want to talk about it, I'll just skip over it. And I do go in the order of questions that are received, so I will probably be behind in the chat, but I do try to keep up as best as I can. And if anything comes up along the way, just let me know what's going on. And if you want to make sure I answer your question, the best way to do that is by, if you are on YouTube, you can do a super chat. If you're on Twitch, if you use a donation, it should pop up with a text field that will show me something. It will show me whatever you write. And the super chats and everything else will contribute to this goal that we have up here, because my video card is very old and it makes it very hard to render videos. Currently, if I'm editing a 20 to 25 minute video, depending on how many edits I have in there, graphics, filters, etc., it will take like 4+ hours to render, and I can't literally do anything else on my computer. So having a video card would make everything go so much faster, or at least theoretically it would, if that's a limitation. I think that is. It may not be, but also my video card's really old, and so I should replace it anyways so I can, you know, keep up the graphical times, you know. Oh my gosh. One time I lived in a place and our housemate had a cat that would try to eat tinsel and garland. Oh my gosh. Cats are crazy. Is it okay to get daddy custom digital art? Yo, you gotta ask him. Hey, there's a video. It'll be out in like a day or two about giving gifts and DS relationships. You should watch that. The short answer is you ask them how they want to receive gifts and what they like, and then you do that. It's really simple. If you want to, if that's something you think they would like based on your knowledge of them, sure. Like, it's, people overthink it. Don't overthink giving gifts. It's fine. You can always get a gift receipt. Well, maybe if it's not digital art, you probably can't do that. Can you please advise me on how to address my sir about doing more? That is a very general question that is kind of covered in my FAQ, so if you can be more specific about what it is you're looking for, I can help you out, but otherwise I have like 5 videos that talk about how to talk to your partner about things, how to communicate, how to negotiate a relationship, scene ideas. That could be a whole hour-long conversation, so if you could narrow it down a little bit, I would be happy to help you, but otherwise I don't really know if I can help you specifically. This is something that's so general. I was opening Twitch. Can you show us again? Oh! I can see a super... Why can't I see the text? I can only see a gift with money on it, and I love it, but I don't know what happens. Oh my... Every single time I test it, it works. And then... Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try and figure this out. See, I don't know. I can't figure out. I need somebody who knows more about Streamlabs than I do, because when I test it on my end, it works normal the way that it should. But then in reality, when I actually have like a real, like actual super chat go through, not just a test one, like something funky always happens, and I don't know what it is. I don't see that there's a question attached to it, but I like the gift, so thank you. I'm gonna have to turn that off. It's gonna say something's gonna happen. I'm just gonna permanently have this GIF open during my stream, and there's nothing I can do about it. So hopefully you guys like it. Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. I don't know what "can you show us again" Evie is referring to. I'm looking at all the questions. Guys, there's not, if you guys try to min-max question asking by asking multiple times in both chats, like, for the love of God, don't, it's not gonna go any faster that way. I will just fully ignore your question at that point because I'll be annoyed by it. But try not to min-max the questions. Just ask whatever platform you're at, and I promise I'll try to get to it. Do you play any computer games? I do. I play a lot of them. I grew up playing computer games. I'm generally like a PC person. I play in the Switch. I had a GameCube. I had a DS. But like PC is where it's at. I love Dragon Age. Well, actually the main reason why I usually have consoles is because I like Fire Emblem. I like Final Fantasy. I'm not like a fanatic for Final Fantasy because I didn't really have PlayStation consoles growing up, but I have played several of them and I really enjoyed them. I really love Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles for the GameCube. That was the shit. The Witcher series I really like. Dragon Age. I'm really looking forward to eventually playing Cyberpunk, but I can't play it until I, one, upgrade my video card, and two, they fix they fix a lot of the bugs. So I will probably play that at some point. I'm really looking forward to it. We have on stream, we've been playing this weird series of games. I need to research more about it because I can't quite figure it out. The one I was playing was called Christmas Adventure Candy Storm, which is a point and click, like I Spy adventure type of game. It was really kind of silly and funny, just like a fun, relaxing thing to play while chatting with people. And as far as I can tell, that was like a Russian game or like a Ukrainian something like that. And then it got translated into English and it was owned and produced by an entirely different company. But there's like a series of 4 or 5 games that Big Fish makes that's also called like Christmas Adventure, but they're not like the same people at all, but the games look very similar. Anyways, I got the first game, the Candy Storm, was like $2 on Steam, and the other 4 of them are, I think you can get all of them for like $30. So I will probably be playing more of that, but I've kind of enjoyed playing. It's like, it's exercise in like a really weird form of masochism where like you're sure something is supposed to work this way, but because you can't see where the hitbox is, it doesn't work, and so you just get confused. And you're like, oh, I can't do that. It turns out you can. You just like weren't pressing the right spot, and like, it's a good little casual time sink. And the game that we were playing last, the Candy Storm one, that one had, was it the Nutcracker? I think it was Nutcracker music in the background. So like it was this really nice ambiance of Christmassy music that I enjoyed quite a bit. Check out your gaming streams, and yes. There shouldn't be listed as a gaming stream. It should be just chatting, but I do have at least one recorded Witcher 2 stream, and we're gonna be doing more of that once I get my second monitor in, because I currently only have one monitor. It is really, really hard to play that game and have OBS and like look at chat and things without having 2 monitors, because it's the way the game is set up. So once I get that in, which will hopefully be before our next stream on Monday, I should be able to play more of that. But we were playing some casual games, and like I'm gonna play The Witcher 3. I haven't played the Final Fantasy VII remake yet. I want to do that. There's a ton of games. And I am always open to suggestions. Like if we're getting close to finishing a game and people want to see something else, like I was thinking about I did Vampire the Masquerade already, kind of, and I was thinking that was going to be right before the new game got released, but then that got delayed to like sometime eventually, not even a specific date. So we'll see Vampire the Masquerade eventually. So I might replay that once we have like a solid release date for the new Bloodlines 2 game. But yeah, I play video games and I like it, but usually I give advice and I chat and I game as well. But that's kind of my shtick. People know me because I'm also, for people who are on Twitch and like have no idea who I am, I'm a YouTuber. I give typically like relationship advice and things like that. So that's what I'm known for, but I also play video games. And so Twitch seems like a good combination. And yes, Crafty Engineer just linked my channel. And I teach online classes as well. So I know what I'm talking about. At least according to like 155,000 people. 155,000 people can't be wrong, right? I give good advice occasionally and I mess up occasionally, and that's how things are. Russian made point and click games, yes. Did I find a stream with Phil Kings? Oh my god, I love that. Saint of Bindings, that's fantastic. Yes, you are amongst fellow Kinksters here. If you're not kinky though, you're totally welcome. Like this is just, it's a stream for anybody to come and hang out in. If you're comfortable with that kind of discussion, we'll probably get in there. Because that's usually how these streams go. People have relationship advice pertaining to that. But it's not always that way. Sometimes we just like, we chat and we hang out, you know? Yes, and then links to Crafty Engineers being the best and is currently linking things. But if you want to see more, My rules and my social media are in the About section, and you can just pop over there, and links are also in there as well. Any cute Xmas outfits for Bandit? You know, generally, it's not too cold here, so usually she'll have like a really cute bandana or something. So I've had this really cute, it's like a green and red, like a buffalo check, and she's enjoyed it. She likes wearing bandanas because they're not too heavy, but no like outfits. It's like, I know I've said this before because we also talked about this during Halloween, but like Pomeranians, especially her body type, like she's small, but she's like wider, and so like clothing for dogs that are like her size by pounds like don't really fit her because they're like too long usually, but they're too narrow. And so usually I like give her a bandana. I have like one like Hawaiian shirt that we got her from Amazon that is really cute, but it's not Christmassy at all. It's not Christmassy, but no outfits really. I don't really dress her up in like outfits because I just like how she is. So natural and perfect and beautiful. I love her so much. But if I find something, I'll definitely jump on it. I'm not like opposed to it. I just don't have any plans for that. I was thinking it'd be cute if I could get something that maybe had little wings on it. Like she could be like a little Christmas angel. Like that would be really cute. But I haven't seen anything like that. And like, to be honest, it's not really at the top of my list for like things to spend money on this month. So it's been on the back burner. But if people have ideas or know where I can find stuff like that would fit a Pomeranian as opposed to a Chihuahua, I'd appreciate it. I tend to stay away from YouTube, but I couple Shibari. Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Yeah, I know there's like one or two people that like have like, especially if you're doing anything with rope bondage, like YouTube's really hard. Most people I know, either when they start doing tutorials on YouTube, they either stop after a while and just delete their channel, or like YouTube just deletes their channel. Like just fully is just like, this is inappropriate. You can't be doing this. Bye. So it can be difficult, but that's mostly what I do. What about a bandit bat? I mean, for Halloween, but like it's Christmas. I don't think Christmas bats. I don't think that's really a thing. I don't think that's it. Oh, YouTube did the thing where it's just yeeted me to the bottom of the chat. All right, let's see. Where are we? I spent the day watching your post. I just want to say thank you. I've been in the scene 26 years, but I always learn something new. Whoa, thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much. Yes, and I know, okay, you were also the one who asked about how to address your sir about doing more. Do you mean, sorry, I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. I don't know if you responded to that yet, but are you meaning like scenes? Like more with your power exchange? Like, give me the deets, girl. Let me help you out. My cat, Sir Winston, eats everything. He likes plastic too, so we have to be very careful. Some people cage their trees, but I'd rather use my cage. Oh my god. That's just, I've seen, there was a photo I saw of a toddler-proof Christmas tree that was like fully like 360 degrees like saran wrapped, which I didn't know if that was real, if that was a joke. But I find that hilarious that you would need to cage a tree. That's so funny. I have found I like to be flogged. Where can my partner find ways to do it correctly? And read me. Ooh, that's the read me. I'm assuming that's not a typo. And you mean literally like read your body language to find what's enjoyable for you? In terms of where can my partner find ways to do it correctly, the best thing you can do is real life events. If you've just found out you like flogging, if you haven't really done it before, if neither one of you are experienced with it, like it is so important to have somebody like show you how to do that correctly, because flogging compared to like some things isn't like probably gonna kill you unless you like have, I don't know, like a kidney disorder and you really whack the kidneys good. Like it's not like you're not necessarily risking a fatality doing a flogging, but like you want to make sure you're not like hitting the back of the neck, the tailbone, the kidneys. Like you want to stay away from those areas, right? So in terms of like finding ways to do it correctly, having somebody that can teach you in person, give you feedback, see your technique, correct you on maybe little things you might not have even noticed that you were doing, like that's always going to be the best way. However, you know, obviously with COVID and also with even that being like the holidays, like kind of being in, most people anyways, are in sort of like vanilla mode, seeing family, things like that. Like you're not necessarily going to do that. There are online classes for flogging. If you're on FetLife, like that's always the best. I guarantee you right now, if you go to FetLife and you search for flogging and you go to events, there's going to be at least one class about flogging. At least one. It's so popular. It's like, if you like, outside of like, no, not even spanking, because most people don't even do classes for spankings, they just do it. Like flogging is like the easiest thing to find a class about. So like you're super lucky if that's the thing you found that you're into, because like it's so easy to find a class for that. In terms of like reading you, like that's just going to be a practice and time thing. Like the more that they kind of develop their technique, the more you get used to flogging, like the more you're kind of understanding each other's like rhythms and tells, and like in between those points, like before they get to the point where before you get to the point where you can really read each other's body language, like clear, concise, ongoing communication is always going to be your friend. And so how do they learn how to read you? Is you tell them exactly what you're feeling in the moment when it happens. Oh wow, that spot feels really good. Oh, that stung a little bit too much. Oh, that kind of makes me feel twitchy. Whatever it is, and as much detail as you can. Like, is that the funnest way of doing a scene? Is that the most headspacey, intense subspace way of doing a scene? No, but like that's going to be the best way that you have to learn each other and communicate, so that way in the future you can rely more on that nonverbal communication. Of course, using your safe word, checking in, having yourself as like the bottom, not only telling them how you're doing, but having them check in as well, and being like, hey, you know, I did that a little bit harder this time, did you notice a difference? You know, that sort of thing as well. So as always, the answer comes down to communicate, ask questions, go slowly, and work your way up. I go into in real life classes and now online, just so that way I have more control over the class, who it is, and so on. Mostly I want to make sure people can't skip the safety parts, and I can make sure I'm not teaching people who will use it wrong. Oh my god. Yes, so true. I'm definitely that way. Like, there are certain subjects that I don't cover because it's like, this can be a BDSM thing, but like used in the improper context, it could be self-harm, it could be used to hurt others, commit assaults. Like, let's not give people advice about that. So totally, yeah, absolutely. I think there's just a lot of things where in real life, communication in classes are so important. And like rope bondage, I think, is definitely one of those. Especially, I think if you're already experienced with rope bondage and you really kind of understand your limitations and your skill set, then like watching videos, learning online is really good. But like if you've never like touched a piece of rope before, then like it's probably going to be really helpful to have that like hands-on instruction. And then things like, you know, things that I don't talk about on this channel, that I don't give advice about, you know, blood play, breath play, you know, kidnapping, whatever, stuff like that. Like, it's really complicated. It's really hard to learn how to do it well, especially online in a short video without that kind of back and forth conversation. And also, again, not having control over who sees that information, I think is a concern. Do you fly in your dreams? I think I have like once or twice before. I don't usually have like reoccurring dreams where I fly. Like, as at least one person in this chat can attest to, I have the kind of dreams that are very confusing in how mundane they are. Like, my dreams are stuff where it's like, it's so close to reality, but it's a little bit different, to where I wake up and go, wait, did my partner actually say that to me? Wait, did this really happen? Like, I had a dream the other night that I had, like, a partner. It was, like, another partner's birthday, and they had gotten them, like, really, like, crazy expensive gifts, and, like, had gotten them, like, it was, like, they were gonna go on a cruise, or, like, they were gonna go to Europe or something, and they were like, oh, sorry, I'm not gonna be able to see you for 2 months, bye, and then they just left to go on this trip with this other partner for 2 months without, like, telling me about it beforehand, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? And then I woke up, and I was, like, confused for a solid, I was like, oh, that's right, they're going on a trip, not gonna be able to see them. And then it turned out like it didn't happen. So my dreams are always really boring and mundane, and then I wake up confused, and I'm like, oh, I thought we had a fight. Oh wait, no, we didn't. That was a dream I had. It's not, I don't know. I don't know why my brain is that way, like when my dreams are just so boring. They're so boring. And it's like I have dreams about YouTube, I have dreams about work stuff, I have dreams about my old job before I did YouTube full time. Like, that's my dream cycle. One of those 4, usually. Do you have any recommendations on how to thank your sir for a holiday gift that literally blows you away? Do you mean like they got you a gift that blew you away? Or do you mean like you want to blow them away with how you thank them for the gift? I'm not sure I understand exactly what you're asking. Yeah, literally blows you away. That sounds kind of extreme. It does. I keep having dreams where I forget to wear my mask. Oh no! Oh gosh, I don't even really go out in public anymore. It's like I just ordered a bunch of masks from this place I really like. And of course I got them all like right after we had to lock down again because cases were just crazy here. I also used to teach general classes, but Creep's trying to perv on people, so now couples only. Friends will like count. Yeah, that's definitely, I don't know how much this is, like, mostly where I've taken classes at, like, it's not the kind of class that would, like, attract people to, like, be creepy and weird about it, because it's at a convention, and it's, like, kind of, like, a prohibitively high cost to go there. Like, it's very rare that I've seen something where there's not at least couples or like a throuple or something. Like if it's single people, it's usually single submissives. But occasionally we'll see single doms. But yeah, if it's like a partnered activity where it's like you got a demo on somebody, then like having random single people kind of hovering around the outskirts, I can see where that might be awkward. My submissive partner is coming to stay with me and my family for Christmas, and I'm very nervous about how different we have had to be around each other, or somehow revealing our kinky side. So on my Patreon, last year I did a whole video where I talked about this. It's still up for anybody that's on Patreon. Well, say anybody, but it's at the $10 plus level. And I can see why that's really difficult. And especially if you don't really have practice doing that in your relationship before, it can be like, whoa, like, we gotta act like normal people? Like, what the frick? Like, okay, how are we doing that? We gotta pretend like we're normal, oh gosh. And that is one of the advantages of talking to your partner ahead of time about things, is that you can say, hey, we know what's gonna happen. You're gonna come over. We're gonna see your family for Christmas. You're gonna be at my house. Like, we know we have to change stuff, but like, how do we want to change it? And then you can work out like what code words you want to use for things, what like vanilla appropriate names you want to go by. Like, there's options, you know. There's ways of getting around the awkwardness of having vanilla family and also having a partner around. I think it can be easier, like, if they're just your submissive and you're not, like, romantically involved, then, like, that's super awkward because it's like, oh, this is just my friends. But if they're also your romantic partner in addition to like being your submissive, then at least you can kind of, you know, lean on that aspect of the relationship and just not sort of include the details about the kinky part. But yeah, talk about how you want to handle it up front. And then if you can, like especially because it doesn't sound like, it says staying with me and my family for Christmas. I don't know if this is like your normal home environment or if you're gonna have time to be alone. But if you can have that chance to practice kind of with your partner ahead of time, like using whatever code words you want to use or phrases or whatever else. Excuse me. That's gonna hopefully help you the most. That's what I do. I would like my sir to expand what we do at the BDSM club at home, but because the club is closed, how can I encourage you scene without sounding bratty or needy? Y'all have been in a relationship for 26 years, right? Are you in an MS relationship? Have you never initiated a scene? Like, this is, like, I find that fascinating. So do you, oh, is it like you only would do BDSM at a club and you would never do it at home? And so, like, you just, like, the kind of, you don't necessarily have that headspace at home? This is how you do this without sounding bratty. You'd say, sir, master, whatever, insert name here, I would like to be able to inform you when I feel in the headspace to do a scene. How can I do that in a way that would feel respectful for you? There you go. That's the secret. That's the secret. You ask them how they want to be asked. It's so easy. Like, people see, this is the thing. Like, submissives in the chat right now. Y'all get so nervous and so worried about, like, oh my god, I want to do this thing, but, like, I'm worried it's going to be topping from the bottom, or your partner's going to hate me. I'm worried they're going to think I'm disrespectful. I'm worried I'm going to sound like a brat. Like, this is the key. This is the easiest key that will make your life, like, 1,000% easier. You tell them, this is what I would like to do. How can I do it in a way that would be respectful? And then they tell you the way that you're supposed to do it, and then you have your answer. You don't have to guess. You don't have to go off of what I'm guessing at. Like, you know what the answer is. You know what your partner wants. No confusion. Communication. That's the key. That's the key. That is the thing that makes it way easier. Failing that, if for some reason you're unable to have a conversation with your partner where you're like, getting this information from them about how they want to be asked, do you not have any sort of like ritual, like protocol with your partner? Like, again, it's like 26 years in a relationship. I'm trying to guess on like what sort of things you may have already had established or things you've done before, but it's just like you don't have a lot of tools. So like, do you have anything where you like can make a respectful request of your partner, or language that you can use? Do you like kneel before your partner? Do you have anything like that you can like use? Like, I feel like there's a lot going on there, but like at the end of the day, you need to be able like you need to be able to have these conversations with your partner regarding at these parts of the relationship. But like at the end of the day, like I think you should also just be able to say, sir, I'm feeling like I would like to have a scene tonight. Are you in the mood for that? Like, you should, like, unless you're in a really high protocol MS relationship or some shit like that, like, you should just be able to ask your partner for what your needs are and seeing if you can get those needs met. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, you know? And if it is, then you and your partner need to work on your communication skills, because I don't know how you'd be in a 26-year-plus long relationship without having had to go over some of that in the past, at least. Like, because I know even having a relationship for a year or two, like, we've had to go through a lot of that kind of stuff and figuring out how to ask for things and getting needs met and stuff. So hopefully some of that helped. But if they're gonna tell you that you sound bratty or needy because you told them what your needs are, like, I just don't, like, Doms like that just confuse the shit out of me. Like, you don't want your submissive partner to inform you, like... So you don't want any information about what their needs are. You just want to be able to do stuff? Like, is that the... What are you doing? Oh, gosh. Like, yeah, it's, like, I don't know. I get stories... I'm gonna probably rant about this for a second because it's something that really bothers me. Like, just from the volume of questions I get from submissives that are like over and above paranoid about seeming disrespectful, seeming rude, seeming bratty, seeming needy. Like, if your partner makes you feel needy because you've expressed what your desires are, like, how do you even have a BDSM relationship, honestly, at that point? Because, like, how else do you build a DS relationship if you're not, like, talking about what your desires are? You know? Like, if your partner, like, treats you like you're a bad person for saying what your needs are, then, like, is that really a person you want to submit to in the first place, you know? Does that, like, am I blowing that out of proportion? Or is that, like, just, like, so many people are, like, so worried that, like, anything they do to express their needs or their wants or anything, like, is gonna be, like, disrespectful to power exchange. Like, you don't build a power exchange relationship unless you talk about what your needs, wants, and desires are. So, like, it shouldn't just be restricted to, like, the first time you negotiate with somebody, and if you don't bring it up then you're just fucked. Like, that shouldn't be how it works. You should be able to have ongoing conversations with your partner about, like, hey, we haven't really, like, done a scene in a while, would you like to play again sometime? And, like, I don't know. Maybe it also depends on if you're just doing DS, if you have, like, a vanilla, like, romantic relationship as well. But I feel like the longer you're in a relationship, like, there should be more acceptance of, like, kind of non-DS communication. Sort of, like, you know, literally, like, meta communication about the relationship in terms of, like, this is what I want, this is what I need, these are how these things are not being fulfilled, and this is how we can work towards getting those things fulfilled. Like, it's like you literally, like, you go, like... You kind of put the DS in a container, and then you go outside of that container to have conversations about how you want that thing to work, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be a respect thing, it doesn't have to be a DS thing. You don't have to talk about it, like, you can, like, that's generally my solution without knowing people's dynamics, is to talk about it in a way that's, like, respectful within the boundaries of your dynamic, whether that be using titles, speaking in the third person, making a formal written request, like... If those are the tools you have that you've negotiated for, use them. But if you don't have any of that and you don't know what to do, you should be able to say, hey, I need to talk to you as, like, another equal human being right now. I feel like my needs aren't being met in XYZ area. Can we, like, work to fix that? And, like, if your partner's like, you're being disrespectful to me by telling me what your needs are. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Anyways, that's my rant. That's my rant. Keep ranting. EV communication is key in any relationship, much less a BDSM one. Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like 99% of kinky and or relationship advice boils down to work on better communication. I mean, that's really the, yeah, like Wraithloon said, it's the TLDR of this channel. That's everything. Like, it always boils down to, whether that be you feel like you can't talk to your partner because you don't know how to communicate outside of a DS headspace, or you don't know what tools you should use, or you don't have the self-confidence to do it, or you're worried about making them angry, or they're not receptive to it, or they don't change. Like, there's something there, right? And it's figuring out what those things are and then navigating around them, you know? Wait, I don't know if this is... I don't know if this is directed towards me or if this is for somebody else in the chat. Can you do some questions kindly? I don't know what you mean by that. This is just my, like... I am doing some questions. Like, do you mean I should be nicer to people? Because, like, I'm sorry, this is how I am. If you want a streamer that's gonna be, like... super uwu bending over backwards to make people not feel like critiqued, I'm not gonna be that person. I'm sorry. Or do you mean just like answering questions in general? Because Because if it's a general Q&A, then, like, yeah, I'll answer questions. And that's what I am doing. But sometimes we answer questions and it takes us a while to get all the way through them, you know? Like it says, the description, I am your older sister. This is the dynamic I have. I'm your older sister, which means I will give you shit if you ask me stupid questions. But I'll do it in a loving way. I'll give you shit in a loving way, and I will call you out on your BS. That's who I am. That's who I am. Okay, but I don't know if this question was for you. Have you ever been caught in the act by parents or someone else? Not that I can think of. I definitely think there have been close calls. I don't think anything that's been like... No, I can't think of anything where I've gotten close to being caught in the act. I'm trying to... I'm trying to I'm like maybe sometime in like high school? No, I was really paranoid. I was really, really paranoid about getting caught. So like if there was any risk that was gonna happen whatsoever, I'd be like, no. I can't, sorry. Gotta bail, bye. How many words per minute can you type? I don't know. A lot. I think I'm a pretty fast typer. I used to be really, really slow at typing, and then I started playing MMOs, and I got really fast. I got really fast at typing after that. But quite a bit. I'm not sure what a fast range is. I think over 100 words per minute. Like at some point, the last time I spruced up my resume, I took a couple of those like words per minute like typing quizzes, and I put that on there because like for some of the jobs I was applying to, they like had you put in like how many words per minute you type, and so I had to be able to give them a number, but I don't remember what it was because it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. Hot totty. Oh god. For me, I was 17, had her on the bed. Oh no. I didn't hear my mom coming down the stairs and heard the door across the room, but she saw everything. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Hopefully, were your parents like accepting? See, that's the thing though, I think is like, are your parents in denial about the fact that you're like having sex with your girlfriends and boyfriends in high school? Or are they in denial or do they know? Because if they know about it and they're just like, remember to wear a condom, honey, and they put some in your dresser drawer for you, that's very different from parents that are like, having sex is evil. Oh no, most of my stories were college roommates catching you how to figure out a signal system. Oh yeah. Yeah, I never had roommates like, this is the most bizarre story. I don't know how much of it I can tell, but I'll tell a little snippet of it. I never had a roommate or anybody like walk in on me doing anything with any of my partners. However, there was one year where I was living with I was living with 4 other people, and we each had different rooms, and we had like a living area and like a pull-out bed on a couch. And there was one time that I had a boyfriend that went to a different university than me that spent the night one weekend, and I didn't want him to sleep in my bed / he couldn't because it was like a college twin, like extra long, you know, like the bed that like everyone has in college. Like it's not really enough for like 2 people to comfortably sleep on, and he was tall, so like he wasn't gonna fit on it. So I had him sleep on the pull-out bed overnight because he had driven like 5 hours to come see me, and it was like 1 a.m. So like I'm not gonna have him fucking drive home for another 5 hours at 1 a.m. That would be really rude. So he slept on the couch in the living room, fully clothed, blankets, nothing. I had a roommate that got so mad at me for that, like unbelievably, like literally like complained to like, I don't know the name of the person that like Residence Affairs or something. She was like, it was so, she had to like, and it was like, we're in independent housing. Like, I'm not going to like a religious school. There's no like no boys allowed in the building. It's just like in the living room, sleeping on a couch. It was 1 a.m. Like, what did you? Was I supposed to wake everybody up and be like, oh, by the way, you know the boy that was here earlier during the day when you were awake? He's going to continue to be here for a few more hours. Thank you. Like, God, they got so mad at me. They were like, they said something along the lines that like they felt assaulted by his presence, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, you literally, like, he's been here for like not even a whole day, like not even 24 hours. Like, really, oh my God, it was ridiculous. And then I never lived with any roommates ever again except for one person, because 4 people was way too many. What was really funny though is this the roommate that complained about that. She was the one where she would drive home every weekend. She would drive 2+ hours one way every weekend to spend the weekend with her family. Every weekend, except for this one. The one time she was there. And it was just really bizarre. It was nuts. And like, it was like all of my roommates like agreed. Like besides her, they were like, what? Cause she went behind all of our backs to do this as well. She never like said anything in the moment that was like, maybe this is why I'm so like gung-ho about communication. Cause she never said anything in the moment about like, hey, this is bothering me. No, it wasn't until we got a formal complaint, like from like some official administration office, that we found out that she'd ever had a problem with this. And it was like, she was mad at another roommate for like using something that was in the common area once that like she didn't like get she's like, oh yeah, she used my toaster once without my permission, and I felt like really like, what? She was a weird roommate. I was in a 4-bedroom house with 8 people. Oh my God. I don't know how. That's too much noise at that point. Just the sounds of people breathing. All right. Here, I'm going to answer questions. Enough about my weird college stories. Enough about that. Overall, like, I liked living with those 4 people. They were really nice, except for that one who, like, she ended up moving out, like, after that. She went and found another place to live after that. I guess because none of us would acquiesce to her weird requirements of being a roommate. And so we became 3 eventually. Well, 4 total. It was 5 before. What is your favorite Final Fantasy VI character? I don't know. What is my favorite Final Fantasy VI character? Let me see. Final Fantasy. There's so many characters. I'll have to. Oh, that's Final Fantasy. Wait, okay. Do you mean Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6? I don't know. Because that's also, they were a different remake one. I do really like Final Fantasy 3. It was really good though. That game was obnoxiously cute. Like, I really liked it. I don't remember who my favorite character was though. Maybe Rifa? The girl character? The only girl character? That's probably why. Yes, Mary. Kelly, you just have to be open with him. As Evie has always said, communication is key. Exactly. I know, and you're like, I can see from in the chat that you keep asking people for advice. This is the advice. Open communication. And if you're struggling with having open communication with your partner, you really need to sit with yourself and identify what the source of that is. Is it because you're afraid of making them angry? Is it because they were disrupting the DS relationship? Is it because you never had practice doing that? Like, what's going on there? What's the deal? You know? But that's really it. Is openness to communication. And if you have problems with it, trying your best to identify where those problems come from. you calling your dog fat? No, she's beautiful. She just literally has a wide body. Like, I mean, like, literally. That's like, people don't realize this about Pomeranians. Like, Chihuahuas are very narrow. Pomeranians are actually kind of like, they're actually a little bit of a stockier body than like a lot of people realize. And so like, it's not that she's not fat. Like, she's just wide. And I mean, that's like the anatomy of Pomeranians. Oh my God, they're like little ovals. The little eggs. I always choose my little perfect egg. That's what she is. Yes, a Christmas loaf. Oh yes, she's a Christmas loaf. She's a Christmas ham. Oh, goodness. All right. Let's see where we're at in the chat. Where are we at in the chat? What are we at in the chat? What questions do we got? How do you feel about using munchies? I don't know what that means. Do you mean going to munches as in BDSM munches? I don't know what using munchies. Is this a drug reference? I'm not understanding. Would it be disrespectful or topping from the bottom if I request a scene or voice my needs? No. No. And if your partner has made you believe this, then something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. It shouldn't, like, unless you're in a very specifically and purposefully negotiated MS relationship where for some reason you've decided that's how you want to do things. Like, as long as, like, there is a, I think any dom with their salt would be able to identify a meaningful difference between, like, oh my God, why do you never play with me anymore? Versus, sir, I always really love it when we get to have intimate time together. I feel like I haven't been able to meet my needs in terms of BDSM recently. Would you like to have a scene with me sometime soon? Like, if a dom cannot understand the intent, the tone, and the difference between those two statements, there is no hope left in humanity. There's no hope. But no, it shouldn't, like, whatever it is, your needs, or requesting a scene, like, it literally, if you can't, like, if you have trouble getting your words out, if you really struggle to just say the things, like, write it out. Write it on a piece of paper, give it to them, have a conversation with a whiteboard in hand, literally write out what you want to say in a whiteboard or on a piece of paper and give it to them. Okay? Like, if you're that worried about offending them, like, and you can't actually say the words, at least try to start to have that communication with them. But, like you should, like, really, like, I know so many people that go through this where their partners have browbeaten them into thinking they can't talk about what their needs are as a submissive because doing that in any way is topping from the bottom. So I may be a little bit, like, overzealous about this advice, but, like, I get a lot of questions, a lot of comments from people that are like, oh, I wanted to tell my partner I wanted to do this thing, and then they told me I was being a brat because I wanted this, like, what? Where are y'all finding these doms? I don't know. Where are y'all finding these people? Cause I can't imagine from the other side. Like, if I was thinking about topping somebody or being a dom, like, why would I ever want to put my partner in a situation where they can't tell me what their needs are? Because, like, how else am I going to have scenes with them? Like, how else are we going to have the thing that we want to do together happen if they don't tell me? Like, I'm not a mind reader. Because that's funny, right? Because the complaint is always like, oh, like, this is the back and forth. This is the pinnacle of everything that happens. Well, not all of it, but this is, like, the number one thing that happens in DS relationships where things go poorly. Submissive thinks, I can't say anything. Because if I do, I'm being pushy, I'm being aggressive, I'm being a brat, I'm topping from the bottom. Dominant partner goes, they never tell me what they want. They think I'm a mind reader, and it pisses me off they think I'm a mind reader when I'm not. Like, they're not mind readers. You're not a mind reader. You gotta use your words. And it would solve so many problems if people would just do that, but I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Hi, honey. Hi, you look so cozy. Where did you go? Hi, sweet girl. Yeah. You're very toasty. Were you in front of the heater? Hi. Would you like to come snuggle? over. Bendy toe. Look, we're twins. Guys, don't we look so similar? We're twins! Alright. Yes, Rachel, exactly. Voicing your needs is basic communication, nothing power dynamic related. Exactamundo. I know it's really hard, especially if you haven't had practice doing it, but like the sooner you start getting practice with it, like the better it's gonna be. The better it's gonna be. I have a question. Sorry, it's taking me a minute. I have to like decode this question. If a female, here, I'm just gonna reinterpret what I think this question is, and if I've misunderstood you, please let me know. I have a question. If someone's a female sub but not getting BDSM, what behavior would be naughty or rebellious to get punishment? Also, what BDSM would have impact on our mental state? There's a lot going on here. This is like, I'm afraid I don't fully understand your question. But yeah, topping from the bottom is a thing we've talked about a lot so far, for some reason during today's stream. But people are, like, if people don't have their BDSM needs met, there's a book that's called Conquer Me, which is a little bit older, but that I really enjoy. That talks about this. And essentially what happens is when some submissives are not able to get their needs met or are feeling they're not getting the DS they want to have, they have these conquer me feelings, which is essentially this protest behavior where they act out, they don't follow the rules, they're kind of sassy, where they're kind of trying to provoke their dominant into reinforcing the dynamic and playing with them and doing BDSM. Some people also call it bratting. I feel like it's very similar. I think you could separate them if you wanted to, if one label worked for you and one didn't. But some people do that if they're not getting their needs met. And for some people, that dynamic is functional. And as long as they're being conscious about it, like, hey, when I have to act this way, when I'm acting kind of grumpy and sassy, that means I need you to give me a spanking. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Now I know what to do. Perfect. Like, some people are fine with that. Some people want to avoid getting to that state in the first place, but it depends about what you and your partner wants. And as what BDSM would have an impact on her mental state, as with anybody, you gotta talk to them about what they want. Because, like, BDSM is a very intensely mental thing for a lot of people. I would say it's a mostly, like, emotionally intense, mentally intense thing. And so, if you want to be able to, I guess it's like, are you asking this in the context of, like, how do you do something for somebody that would get them out of these, like, this state of feeling these conquer me feelings? You gotta ask them what they're rebelling about. Like, do you want a spanking? Do you want to be tied up? Like, do you want to be able to, like, watch a Disney movie and do a coloring book? Like, what's going on? What's going on? And then if you're looking to kind of address that in particular, then you ask them. If it's more like what BDSM in general affects people's mental state, the answer to that is anything, because BDSM is, to some degree, in any case, like, always mental. Even very physical things like rope bondage tend to be, or at least have some, for most people, some kind of mental component. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Boop the nose. Ooh, we got a super chat from Mr. Beansman. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Evie. I just want to say how much I appreciate you. Your channel helped me find my local community, and I'm getting on really well with them. Also, any advice for negotiating for the first time? Oh, well, congratulations, Mr. Beansman. I think the last time we talked, you were going to start meeting people in your local community, so I'm super glad that worked out well for you. In terms of negotiation for the first time, I do, if you haven't seen them, I do have a couple of videos where I talk about negotiation. I don't know if this is going to be for something in real life, if an online thing, but in general, kind of the simplest form of communication for negotiation I know of is talking about specifically what you do want to have happen and assuming everything else that you don't negotiate for is off the table. So you can say very narrowly, I want to do a scene with you. Here's what I have in mind. I want to do a spanking with you for 5 minutes. Our safe words are going to be XYZ thing. We're also going to use plain English communication. So if I say no or stop, that means check in with me. That means stop the scene. And so on and so forth. Like, just keep it really, really clear, really, really concise, and try to limit the variables as much as you can, because, you know, BDSM is a really wonderful and exciting thing. And obviously, if we can, we want to jump into it with both feet. We want to be able to do as much of it as possible all the time, right? And so I think it really helps, especially for our first negotiation, to keep it really narrow, really specific, and make sure, especially if you're kind of the one that is more leading the negotiation, you also leave questions open for your partner. I don't know if you're going to be topping or bottoming. Talking about previous experience can also really help, both with BDSM in general and with the type of scene that you're going to be doing. If there's anybody in the local community that can vouch for them in terms of like scenes they've done in the past together, things like that can also be really helpful. Hi, honey. Oh my goodness. You were just licking my hand. What are you doing? Oh, yes, a banded turtle dove. We don't have a pear tree. We do have some trees in the backyard. Maybe I could do that. That sounds cute. I love that. You said it. Do as much BDSM as you can all the time. No, I just like, this is the thing. You don't want to fall into sub frenzy. You want to pace yourself. Like, we want to do as much BDSM as we can all the time, but that's also not reality. Like, I could be doing BDSM right now, but I'm not. Because I have this to do. So here I am. One thing school has taught me is that the only stupid questions are the ones that are not asked. I mean, so when I said stupid questions, what I mean is when I very blatantly read the rules and then somebody asks me something that's like explicitly against the rules, I would consider that a stupid question, because if I've told you, read the rules, and then in the rules it says don't ask about this and you do it anyways, like, you've either done it on purpose because you think you can get away with it, or because you didn't read the rules. So that's what I mean by like a stupid question. But I don't think that, like, I differentiate between there being stupid questions and there being stupid people. Like, I'm not saying just because you ask a question that's kind of like, you know, hey, if you had more reading comprehension, you would have known better. Like, that doesn't mean that you're like a bad person for asking it, you know? Hi, honey. Hi, sweetie girl. What are we doing? Oh. Do we like the music? Dogs don't really think much about music, do they? Why do you say topping from the bottom? It has become a cliche error. You can't be both at the same time. Topping from the bottom might be better. I don't know what you mean by that. Like, if you're not, like, topping from the bottom is a very common phrase that people say in BDSM. I don't like it. I've made plenty of videos where I've talked about it before, because like, it's almost always universally meant as an insult. Like, oh, you're topping from the bottom. It's like, it's literally used as a phrase to, like, control submissives into not, like, saying things or asking for things, which I think is bullshit. I would argue, depending on the construction of the scene, you can be a top and a bottom at the same time. That's what multi-partner scenes are for. Like, you could be topping somebody and bottoming to somebody else at the same time. That's totally a thing that happens. Is it every scene? No, but it also is the thing that people do. I don't necessarily see how doming from the bottom would be any different in any meaningful way from topping from the bottom. Like, topping from the bottom is generally more used towards people that are in power exchange dynamics, but also, like, it does happen with people who are just brats that are in non-power exchange BDSM scenes. So it's a more general term, I feel like, than, like, saying doming or... Because, like, just because, like, you are, like, I don't know, doing whatever it is that people think it is when you're topping from the bottom doesn't mean you're doming, because that's, like, a very specific connotation, you know what I mean? I was talking about communicating with partners. Yes, okay. Sure, okay, I had to guess because I wasn't sure where you asked that, but yes. Yes. That is so true. Like, I definitely think that's a good philosophy to approach it with, is that, like, if you don't know, it's always good for you to ask a question. It's always going to be beneficial for you. Can you ask things in a poorly timed way, poorly phrased? Like, yeah, like, you can ask a question in a less than optimal fashion, but, like, it's never, you're never going to be stupid because you asked a question. Like, it's, you know, you were seeking more information, you're trying to have your needs met. Like, as long as it had a genuine intention behind it, I think that's the part that matters, you know. Do you have a video on dungeon dress codes? If not, would you please share? I don't have a specific video about it because the answer is you go off whatever the dress code is for the party and event you're going to. That's the answer. Because as it turns out, every party, every venue, every dungeon owner has a different idea of what their dress code is. And different areas of the country have very different ideas for scenes and, like, what acceptable clothing is. So, like, I can't tell you universally what, like, a dungeon dress code is, because it's always going to be different, and the only way you're going to know is if you look at the rules and you ask the people that are running the event. Is it hard to adjust from going from being playmates and living in different homes to living in the same house and being in a full-time DS relationship? I mean, yes, but that's, like, relative. Like, do you go from that all in, like, a week? Is it over the course of several years? Like, I think the scope of it is kind of important. I feel like if you're going from... Because when you say playmates and living in different homes, that seems like a much more casual relationship for me that, like, is not necessarily romantically involved, doesn't necessarily have any kind of life commitment behind it. Whereas living in the same home and doing, like, full-time DS together, like, that has a lot more of a commitment connotation to it than the first description. But there's also, like, 20 steps in between, like, the things that you're describing. Because I would assume, like, ideally, if you were doing this in the least stressful way possible, you would go from being playmates to living separately to spending more time together slowly, spending weekends together, spending, you know, more time sharing, you know, space together for longer and longer periods, adding in more and more DS over time. If you don't have a romantic component, and that would be part of it when you live together, navigating that ahead of time, like, it can be stressful, but it's only as stressful as you make it. If you give yourself the time and space to slowly adjust, as opposed to going night and day, one relationship style to the other, then that's very different. I would say it's like, as long as you leave room for that to be a growing process, and you kind of acknowledge that it's going to be at least a little bit awkward to figure that out at first, like, you're probably going to be fine. I mean, slowly over time. I mean, if you're doing it slowly over time, then, like, that's the natural evolution. Like, from my perspective and my experience, that's just the natural evolution of the relationship. And if that's the way the relationship is naturally growing, then I don't find that particularly difficult in the same way that, like just growing a relation, like, if it's slowly over time, I guess I don't, like, if that's just the way the relationship is evolving piece by piece, then, like, I don't think that's quite as difficult as it would be if you were suddenly making a snap change. Like, I don't think I've ever really experienced stress from that in my relationships, if that makes sense. Are there only bratty females, or is it also a male submissive thing? Yes. All sorts of different people can be brats. I would say the stereotype is certainly with bratty submissives. You can also be a bratty top as well. People don't think about that. You can also be a bratty top. So yes, it's for anybody. It's not gender restricted. Looking lovely tonight. Thank you so much. What are your thoughts on finding BDSM, etc. as a way to relax? I think a lot of people treat BDSM that way. I think a lot of people have BDSM as like a relaxing thing that they do to help them unwind from everyday life. I don't think there's anything that's a problem about that, so long as you understand that's how you're treating it. So that way you can communicate that to your partners, because different people have very different mental headspaces they enter BDSM into, and even if you don't share them with your partner, I think that's fine. It's important to be aware of how your BDSM is psychologically for your partner. So if for you it's a relaxation thing, and your partner it's a catharsis thing of working through my mental illness thing, sex turn on thing, like whatever it is, like it being on the same page about it I think is important. But I don't think any one reason for doing it is like superior over the other. It's just whoever you are. I never had this issue in clubs or playing with others. I'm starting to think the pandemic is making me question certain things. I mean, the pandemic certainly has done a number. Has certainly done a number when it comes to us being able to navigate our relationships and being in different maybe settings than we're used to for doing our BDSM. So, I mean, the pandemic can definitely be a part of it, and I think it's important maybe if you're having this conversation with a partner to be like, hey, you know, and this isn't really something that we've had a problem with in our relationship before, but I feel like maybe part of this might be just the stress from the pandemic, or this being maybe a different situation than we're used to, and kind of adding that context to it. Yes, and like Mary said, like if you've been together for 26 years and you're worried about him finding you bored, or finding you boring, like if it hasn't happened now, like it's probably not gonna happen. And maybe just reaching out for your partner for some reassurance about that can be really helpful. Again, I think that probably goes into the not wanting to feel needy thing, but like I think it's really good to reality check with your partners about being like, hey, like, am I being too needy right now? Am I being too lovey-dovey? Like, am I pushing you away? Like, am I being angry? Like, reality checking with your partners is so helpful, including times when you might feel like, hey, like, I've been kind of feeling a little bit maybe insecure. You know, you're not feeling bored of our relationship, right? And it's not about, I think you should ask it in a genuine way. It shouldn't be about seeking a platitude, wanting to just be comforted by your partner just because. Like, I think if that's like your fear that they're getting bored, like they should also be able to be honest with you and say, hey, yeah, I felt like things have been kind of stale, but I still love you very much. But I like to be able to work on that and figure out how we can reinvigorate things. You know, it should be a space where your partner can openly ask that and get and give an honest answer, as opposed to it just being like, oh no, everything's fine, when like it's not. Because if it's not, then like you're missing an opportunity to make things better, you know? And why would you want to do that? We had something just happened. Okay. Now we're gonna suddenly all the super chats are suddenly gonna start working. Thank you, Professor Stu, DDS. Any advice on finding a dynamic between switches? I'm a switch, and my girlfriend is a lifelong bratty sub, but tends towards doming me. I want to try to meet her subby needs too, but IDK, how to approach it? The great switch question. The great switch question. You're not alone in this. It is a super common issue. Basically, everybody I know. Here, I'm going to put Bandit down, so give me a second. Hi, honey. I'm going to put you back down, okay? Bye-bye. See, look, that's what it was supposed to be doing the whole time. Was this. And it just started. I don't know what happened. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Finding a dynamic between switches. But lifelong bratty sub, but tends towards doming. I want to meet her subby teens. Okay. I think this is something that a lot of people go through, where they have the balance of switching, because most people aren't like equal 50-50 switches. They're like 20%, 80%, 30%, 70%. Some sort of mix the two. And so usually there will like at least be a little bit of like arbitrage maybe between those times when you feel like your dom needs are getting met and your sub needs are getting met, or vice versa, where you're like, oh, I feel like this hasn't really been paid attention to as much as I wanted it to. How do I make sure this keeps going in the direction I want it to? But in your situation, it sounds like it's more about making sure that you are meeting your partner's needs. Maybe that it hasn't come up specifically as a problem yet. I don't know if you live together. I don't know exactly what your dynamic looks like. I know some of my switchy friends in the past, when they do live together, have found it helpful to essentially have like either something on the fridge or like a magnet board or something where they can literally put where they're at on like a spectrum from like sub to dom, like how they're feeling that day. Like today I feel really subby, today I feel really dommy, and then you can kind of go off of that to figure out where both your headspaces are. And so if you notice that like your partner is really in sort of the sub headspace, but then you're not, for like, a couple days, but you're not really doing anything to fulfill that, like that's a good way to kind of notice, like, oh, hey, my partner's kind of trending in this direction. What can we do to make that easier? Of course, you don't have to go off of those kind of subtle, I don't even know what to call it, like those sort of subtle cues. Like you can also just directly like ask her, like if your worry is that like she's not getting her sub needs met, like she may have discovered through your relationship that like she feels much more satisfied right now playing that dominant role more consistently, or maybe she doesn't know how to play with you both of the dominant submissive and sort of maintain her power when she is in that dominant headspace. So I think there's also ways where you can work this out just through plain old-fashioned, good old-fashioned talking to your partner about making sure they're getting their needs met. I think this is also a really great opportunity as well. Maybe you don't want to have something on a daily basis, or you don't live together. Having kind of like a weekly check-in. Also, like kind of flirty things can be good as well. So if you're somebody that like texts with your partner a lot, or you like to flirt with your partner, things like that, like it can also be kind of a good way of seeing where your partner's headspace is at, to be like, oh, hey, wow, I've really been thinking about doing insert fantasy here, or like, so however it is you would normally communicate your fantasies to a partner. And then based on how they respond to that, you can kind of see where their headspace is. And also, a great alternative that a lot of people really like if you're having trouble with figuring out sort of the balance of sub versus dom in your relationship with them is what people call switch fights, where you kind of don't really figure out who's going to be doing what until you get into the scene, and you kind of have that struggle for power in the scene itself, and that's how you kind of figure out who's going to end up where, How's this for a craft idea? Making a domometer / subometer craft to communicate the mood between such partners without having to explicitly state it. Exactly. Like, and like communication's always great, but like if you can have those really subtle, easy to do things so you don't have to always sit down for a 20-minute conversation every single time you you want something. Like, I think that actually helps communication, because the simpler and easier you make it, the more likely it is that you're gonna stick with it. You know, hopefully that helped. Let me know if you need anything else. But that was a great question, so thank you for asking. This is such a helpful and thorough answer. Thank you. Yes. Let me know how it goes. Good luck. And thank you for being proactive about your partner and making sure that she's also getting her sub needs as well as her dom needs met. It's very appreciated for all the switches out there. I can guarantee you, because I know a lot of people. Because the problem with switching is you sometimes do end up with a rut where certain partners kind of only see you as like one side of your switchness. And so it's like, oh yeah, I'm a switch, but like right now I'm dominant to all of my partners, and I don't really want to switch with them, and so my sub needs aren't getting met, and like that can be a whole complicated thing to navigate around. But if you're being proactive, then hopefully you can prevent it from being a problem in the first place. The chat scroll has frozen? What do you mean? I don't know what y'all mean by that. If it has, it's not happening on my end, so I don't know what to tell you. If you're saying something that's not on YouTube, then it is probably from Twitch. And if it's not from Twitch, I have questions. I have questions. Do you know many poly couples, etc.? Media portrayal always says it never works out, and there seems to be the general public opinion, but I'm so outside the realm to know a larger community. We just had a super chat. I'm gonna answer your question in a second, Jude, but let me get to this. Oh no! Where'd it go? It went away! Oh, that's so weird. I don't see it in my thing. Okay, hopefully it'll pop up in a second. Where did it go? Come back, question. Did it just like get something from the future? Like, what was that? I think I should be able to just look up super chats as well. Let me do that. Oh, there we go. Oh. Okay, somebody, like, was that not from YouTube then? Here, let me double check. I'm confused. Oh, it was through Streamlabs. Okay. I swear it said, super chat. I'll have to adjust it so it can last for longer, but I should also be able to look it up here. I can't see it. I'm so sorry. If you are currently still in the chat on Twitch, if you just paste it in the chat, I will answer it. But it definitely disappeared too quickly. I couldn't read all of it. I'm so sorry. Oh, no worries, Finley. Yes, if you can send it again, even if it's a two-part message, that's fine, because I'm looking for it, so I'll see it. In the meantime, I will answer the other question that I saw, which now the chat, I've scrolled around in it, so I can't find that one now either. Oh dear, too many questions, too many questions. Ah, yes. Do you know many poly couples? I am a poly couple. I do. There's a stereotype that it doesn't work out, but like poly relationships like there's just more of them, and so it seems like there's more breakups, but like poly relationships basically last like vanilla ones do. I think it's more likely that poly couples break up like more permanently, because like vanilla monogamous relationships, like people stick that shit out for a long time. Like how many times have you heard the person that's like they've been married for 20 years but they like have secretly hated their partner like for 10 years and they just like don't want to get a divorce because who else would ever possibly love them, you know? Like that kind of shit happens. Whereas I think with poly, like people like are so aware of their boundaries and needs that like when they know that a partnership isn't gonna work out, they're just like, bye. But yeah, it works out. Like it's, you negotiate for it, you navigate it. It's totally a thing that happens though, all the time. All the time. It's just maybe not as oftentimes recognized as see, it's interesting. I've talked about this before, so I won't ramble on about it, but just to point out an interesting tidbit for you all. There is like 10 times as much media portrayal of BDSM as there is polyamory. Like think about that for a second. All the BDSM movies, the kink episodes of TV, the gags, like kink and BDSM is like fairly common as like an edgy trope in mainstream media. Like polyamory, like BDSM is like there's bonding, right? There's 50 Shades of Grey. Like there's all this like mainstream stuff that is fairly accessible. Whereas like with polyamory, I think there was like one show on HBO. There's some like YouTube stuff about it. But generally the portrayal of it is neither accurate nor flattering. So it's not really a good representation. And it's just, there's not really a whole lot of it. And so people get the idea, like it's like, because they've only ever seen like monogamous relationships, they can't even think about like how a poly relationship would work, but they absolutely do. I'm in the process of entering a DS dynamic with my previously vanilla partnership. What advice do you have for integrating dynamics into normal time together? We live together but spend a lot of time together in real life and talk all the time online. Okay. Thank you for retyping that. I have a couple videos about this if you haven't seen it, like BDSM ideas for newbies, casual BDSM, micro scenes, things like that. So if you haven't seen those videos, definitely look them up because there's tons of ideas in there. So I'm not always going to remember all of them because they're spaced out over several years at this point. But I think if you want to integrate BDSM into normal time together, like my personal favorite is like bondage while like watching a movie or like playing video games or like cooking together, right? You know, you're cooking dinner but you've got a bondage belt on so they can like pull you around the kitchen a little bit, or you're playing video games together but you're wearing a ball gag so you can't like scream at the TV when you die. You are watching a movie together but you're wearing a blindfold so you can't see what's happening. Like that's the kind of, I don't know if that's maybe exactly what you're trying to get at, but like that's the sort of thing that I think of. Do you broadcast every day? Not every day. I stream like 3 days per week on schedule, but I also stream kind of randomly when I feel like it. So I think I stream like 5 or 6 days this week, but not every day. Maybe in the future I'll stream every day if people want that, if I have time for it. I like streaming, it's fun, but not every day, not usually. I think it's because God doesn't say you can't hit people, but he does say you can't have multiple partners. Oh no, maybe that's it. Though, just the religious zealotry of it all, you know? Do you have any advice for finding lesbian doms? I've missed the first few minutes. I don't know how many topics I'm going to talk about. No, that's fine. I had somebody else in the stream that was asking about, they had like a lesbian BDSM relationship they were asking about. I'm assuming, I don't know if you're asking this as like a fellow lesbian woman that wants to meet another lesbian woman. In which case, the answer for you is there are, how do I explain this concisely? There are specific BDSM groups that are for what are called leather women, just called leather communities, leather clubs, that are for women loving women, that are for lesbian women. It's not necessarily exclusively for them, like, you know, it's used also generally these days, also very trans inclusive as well. But I would look for those. There are tons of them online. If you go on FetLife, if you look for them, they are a little bit, actually I'm just gonna say, they're a lot more difficult to find than gay men's associations are, but they do exist. So if you're looking as a lesbian woman for another lesbian woman, there are BDSM spaces that are for women loving women. Women loving women. So that is a thing that is real. If you are a man that is looking for a lesbian pro-dom, which is, I guess, the other way this question might be asked, I don't know how to help you with that. I'm sure if you Google lesbian dominatrix near me, Google will tell you the answer. I'm not sure though. Yes, and I do also have my past Twitch streams up if you want to see those. I'd love to see more representation. Oh, honey, no, that's my hair clip. Do not eat that. Hi. Are we hungry for dinner? Should we take a break? Okay. All right, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to eat some, I'm not going to eat dinner. I'm going to eat the dog's dinner. I'll be right back. I'm not even going to go to the waiting screen. We're just going to leave it up. Keep asking questions. I'll be right back. All right. I know I said I wasn't gonna eat dinner, but I did grab a snack. I'm eating an Uncrustable. It's the ultimate gamer fuel. I don't know if you guys know that. Do you have any tips for low energy / disability friendly scene design? For the top, the bottom, or both? An Uncrustable is a sandwich. My sub partner broke one of the boundaries I asked of her. Took a role play with a friend of mine in a D&D game past PG. We are approaching it from a couples dynamic, but not sure on the BDSM dynamic. I don't think you need to approach it from a DS dynamic, because this is a relationship thing. In fact, I would advise you to not frame it as a power exchange thing, because then otherwise it seems like you are punishing them in DS for something they did that was like a relationship thing, and that can be kind of tricky to navigate, I guess I'll say. So I would not recommend approaching it from a BDSM dynamic perspective in terms of trying to fix this, because ultimately what it sounds like happened is that, like, this is my interpretation of it, some D&D sexting happened And that was, and I'm laughing because I like the phrase D&D sexting sounds really funny, but obviously it sounds like it was a hurtful situation for you. I don't know if you're in a romantic relationship or a sexual relationship with this person, but I think if you can reaffirm why this was a boundary for you, why it was hurtful for you, how you expect it to not happen again in the future, while also listening to your partner about why it happened. Like, here's the deal. I have a little bit of trouble giving advice on situations like this because as somebody who's polyamorous and has multiple partners, while I would be uncomfortable with D&D getting sexual just as like a thing, because that just feels like a weird, like, I don't like it when my fun games get kinky and sexy. I just want them to be fun games. I personally would not have an issue with a partner like getting a little bit risque with somebody else in like a D&D game or something. So I'm trying to think about it from a perspective of somebody for whom that would be bothersome in a way that's like a legitimate boundary of the relationship, because for me that wouldn't necessarily be something like I guess what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't be with a partner for whom that would be a boundary, because that would be controlling my sexuality in a way that I wouldn't be comfortable with. But if that is something that is a boundary for you, that's totally legit, as long as your partner knew about that ahead of time, I think is also the key thing. Is this a situation where you said beforehand, this is the kind of thing that I'm uncomfortable with, please don't do this, I expect casual games with friends to say casual games with friends? Or is this something that you've discovered after it happened, made it feel uncomfortable for you, and you want to prevent it happening again in the future? Because I think those are slightly different situations in terms of how you handle them. In D&D sexting, does the Switch need to roll for initiative? Do you have any advice? And while I'm waiting on the answer for that, I will answer this. Do you have any advice for play for scenes for a bottom who isn't a masochist? It seems like the most dynamics tops rely heavily on pain, especially punishments. There's about 1,000 things you can do in BDSM that aren't pain. Pain is one very narrow way of doing BDSM. I would look at bondage, sensation play, sensory deprivation, movement restriction, eye contact control, emotional masochism and sadism as well, if like physical pain isn't your thing. Pet play, DDLG, CGL, service. Lots of things in BDSM aren't pain. Hopefully this gives you some kind of initial things maybe to look forward to. But yeah, if you're only relying on pain and you don't want that to happen in BDSM, there's so many things you can do that aren't that. Definitely don't have to do that to do BDSM, for sure. My partner says she used to play D&D with just her primary partner at the time, just they two, and they frequently do a kind of role play about their characters seducing each other. Then they go and have actual sex, so I guess it's a good thing. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. I personally wouldn't do it that way, but I can definitely see the appeal of that. But I guess I would need to know from the person who asked the original question if that was like, was it an existing established boundary, or was it something you discovered made you uncomfortable after it happened? What is a secret talent of yours? Mine is baking. I made red velvet cookies with cream cheese icing. Also, favorite dessert. My favorite dessert, I really like cake. As like a general type of dessert, I like cake. I like making Oreo truffles. Those are like probably my favorite dessert to make. They're addictive. I love Oreos, but like if you added even more onto Oreos, it's just like it's not fair. Oreos are already this good, and then you made them even better. It's dangerous. Secret talent. I walk really quietly. Like, I scare people on a regular basis because they don't hear me moving around, and then suddenly I'm like right next to them and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, ah, I didn't know you were there. So I don't know if that's a talent exactly, but it's something I don't think people on YouTube would necessarily know. Does Bandit have any cute nicknames? I call my cat a North American big body raccoon. I call her Bandito, Bandito Burrito, Honey, Sweet Girl, Sweet Thing, Little Girl, Missy Pants, Miss Thing. I think Bandito Burrito is probably the funniest nickname though. That's a great idea, Chris. Start a DS relationship journal that you both write in and periodically read each other's thoughts. It helps with each other's needs and desires and gives you a better understanding of your relationship. Then you're not trying to go on the spot to explain yourself. Yes, totally. I think that could work really well. My cats always get called stinky cat or fat baby. I feel like that's like a thing that cat owners do, is they just like ridicule their cats. And like dog owners are like, this is the most precious angel in all of existence. She's literally my light, my life, my world. And cat owners are like, stupid cat. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but that's most people I seem to know with cats if they have nicknames. Okay. I did tell her that before. Told both of them they could keep it PG. She brought it up with me 2 weeks after everything as a punish me sort of thing. Oh, man. Okay, that adds some layers to this whole situation. I am glad I got the clarification before I gave some advice. Yeah, if you specifically told them ahead of time and they agreed that, like, they would keep it PG and then they didn't, and then they waited 2 weeks to confess that it happened anyways, like, that's a clear, like, boundary violation. Because they agreed to it, and you had a conversation about it. They're like, oh yeah, we can do that, totally fine, no problem, and they fucking didn't do that. Like, the fact they brought it up as, like, when you say they brought it up as a punish me thing, do you mean as a, like, they brought it to you as, like, a confession they wanted to be punished over and have that resolution for? Or was it, like, I'm feeling bratty, and I'm using this as an excuse to get the punishment I want? Like, do those two energies make sense? Because I think if you're doing it in, like, I know this was wrong, I know this will hurt you, I'm sorry I did this anyways, please forgive me, and wanting to use BDSM as, like, a tool to resolve that, like, you can do that. Like, you can do that. I would certainly advise caution. I would advise caution with doing that, because you can't always use, like, BDSM can be a tool, but, like, they still violated a boundary for you, and doing BDSM with them isn't necessarily going to fix the fact that happened anyways. If they're doing it as a, like, ooh, I'm being sassy, and I'm using this as, like, a bit to get punished, and, like, oh god, there's, like, not only did they violate your boundary, but they did it on purpose to wind you up to do BDSM, like, I don't know how I feel about that. It doesn't seem like a good thing to do to me. If it was me, and this is a relationship I was in, how I would handle it is we would first address it from a non-BDSM perspective, where we would talk about why it's important to maintain this boundary, why it was there in the first place, and really resolving to make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future, and make sure, you know, that they demonstrate in a meaningful way to you that they are committed to making sure that doesn't happen again. And if it's something like, it's like, oh, like, I was feeling really sexually frustrated, and that's why, like, fucking masturbate before you do your D&D game, okay? Like, so easy, such a simple solution. God, like, I know people say, Like, there's always, oh, don't do XYZ thing horny. Like, if you're gonna get fucking horny during your D&D game, like, masturbate beforehand so you get all the horniness out of your system. So easy. Such a simple solution. But, outside of that, if you want to, if you feel like this would help you get to a point of closure and forgiveness, then you would do the BDSM. But I think it's really important that you have the conversation first and then do the BDSM second if you decide you want to use that particular tool. Told her we had to talk everything out instead. Okay, I think that's a wise decision. We have worked things out, but as she approached it as that, but she brought it up in a way, was figured it was worth asking. Yes, I think you made the right decision. I think if you decided you wanted to, just for some final closure, you know, have a punishment scene around it, that's part of your dynamic, I think that could work. But I think that actually talking about it and addressing it that way as the vanilla aspect of your relationship, because that's where it, you know, this didn't happen in your DS relationship. This happened as a violation of the other aspects of your relationship. So I think you did the right thing there for sure. Yes, resolution punishment, not bratty. Okay, good. What are you drinking there? Water. Somebody said it was moonshine earlier. That's incorrect. Incorrect. Okay, let's see. Where was I in the chat? Where was I in the chat? Ooh, do you make or play any music? I'm curious what kind if you do. I make hip-hop. I do not make or play music. I'm very musically untalented. I would like to make music, though, if I could. That would sound like it would be a fun time. Thank you for taking my question. My apologies for taking up so much time. No worries. No worries. Super happy to answer. And, like, especially when it's something where we kind of have to really dig down into the situation. I know it's going to take more time, and I'm totally comfortable with that because that's why these streams are 2 hours long. Plenty of time to get into the details. Speaking of that, though, we do have 5 minutes. So this is a 5-minute warning for anybody. If you haven't asked a question you wanted to, please do it now. If I missed a question, you can re-ask it now. I'll try my best to get to it, but no promises. What are some of the stereotypes in BDSM that couldn't be further from the truth? That it's only pain. It's not. That it's only a sex thing. It's not. That it's only mentally ill people that do it. No. Or that everybody that does BDSM is poly. Also no. Those are the top things I think people... I think I have a note in my phone to like do a video about like the top misconceptions about BDSM, but it's been on the list for a while. I haven't quite gotten to it yet, but I'm sure there will be a video about this at some point in the future. That can't possibly be true. I bet you're amazing and just modest. Wait, what do you mean? Did I say something about myself? I missed it. What did I say? What did I say? Goodness. Let's see, where was I? Where's the line between BDSM and just rough sex? Oh, that's a great place for my camera to freeze. Let's fix that. Whoop-de-doo. Fish face forever. What's the line between BDSM and just rough sex? Where you personally define it. That was a super helpful answer, but that's how it is. Different people think different things aren't BDSM. I think the biggest thing is that you identify personally that what you're doing is BDSM. Like, if you're not calling it BDSM, then it's not. That's the easiest way of thinking about it, I believe. I am still live for another 5 minutes. Whenever I try to talk about anything sexual, I feel like I'm falling apart mentally from my shame. Do you have any advice to improve my communication? The real answer to that question is identifying and working through your shame. Because if you have sexual shame issues, like, not only is the talking going to be a problem, the doing the thing will also be a problem, I would imagine. So, if, like, working through the shame is probably going to be a part of that. You will probably want at least some advice from a mental health professional about how to do that and identify it. But in general, as a how do you deal with the shame, is you practice. You talk to yourself in the car, you talk to yourself in the shower, in the mirror. You practice saying the words in a safe space where you're not getting ridiculed, and then your brain goes, oh, I am not getting pelted with tomatoes right now. This is great. I can say what I want. This is perfect. And that would actually, I think, be really helpful, because I know that's what's helped me a lot when I have had to think about having difficult conversations, is actually like practice saying the things I want to say, and just getting the words to form in my mouth and then getting them to come out is really helpful. This is Pebbles, by the way. He's here for the end of the stream. I took an online class with a therapist that was about sexual shame and working through it. Highly recommend it. Yeah. Ah, yes. Sorry. Yes, fish sticks. Sorry, I tried to go back. I remembered your question. I tried to go back because I realized I was skipping forward in terms of questions. Low energy scenes. Like casual service, I think would be a good one. Like getting coffee or tea. Kneeling with a partner and patting them on the head when they're kneeling is really good. Having them do a really simple task, like a simple cleaning task, or you know, coloring something in a coloring book for you. That can also be a good one. Human furniture as well, like being a footstool maybe, though that would depend on your disability. If kneeling is good for you or not good for you. I don't know the details there. I would also say sensory deprivation in general, super easy. You just put a blindfold and a gag and earplugs in somebody, and you sit down next to them and they're sitting there. No effort. Least effort possible. So simple. So simple. Head scratching. Not exactly BDSM, but it feels good. Yes. I mean, it can be. I guess it depends on what else you're doing with it. That way, I guess, would fall in sensation play if you wanted to do that. I did answer your question, Belle, but you missed it because you were gone. So you're going to have to rewatch the stream to find your answer. All right. Well, welcome so much. We are about to end the stream, but thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. Any last questions I want to answer here in the next 30 seconds? I know I had to skip past a bunch of questions. I'm so sorry, guys. I just answered. Can we rate Amsterdam? Yeah, we can. Let's do that. All right, I'm gonna end this stream. For you, actually no. I guess I have to be live, right? I don't know how. I've never rated somebody before. How do I do that? I don't know. What is his Twitch stream? I didn't realize he streamed on Twitch. Let me find it. Oh, there we go. Oh! Oh my god, are they playing VR games? Oh my god. Let's do it. Okay, I found it. I found it. Okay, alright, let's see if I can do this successfully. Let's see if we can do it. Alright, we're going. We're going. Bandit is 8. You're wrong. Actually, I can't hear his stream. Cook some books. Oh my gosh. What is this? Oh, he's trying. Got the Oculus Rift. Okay. Oh my gosh. I wanted to play this game. This looks cute. Alright. Alright. Cool. Alright. I'm going to end the stream. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. This was super fun. Be safe. Be well. And I'll talk to you all again soon.